I'm around tip, family.
Uncle Johnson there, Brother Jim.
Worship and praise of our God and our ancestors. And this morning I'm going to talk to you about being children of the sun. We are children of the sun. In every path we shall overcome. We were first upon the earth, and we're going to be the last, because that's God's holy word. You see, we were first to look at life and ask the questions why. We were first to hear and heed the answers of the Most High. We were first to know God's plan of reciprocity. We were first to build a world of love and unity. Because we are children of the sun. Now, I'm sure, as you all know, we face a faithful task here in this troubled land. But we got to resurrect our hearts and our minds to build a mighty plan. We got to build a foundation for the people of our way. But you know, this work, it's going to surely test the genius of your race. We are children of the upon the earth, and we're going to be last, because that's God's holy word. We're going to be the last. That's God's holy word. That's what he tells us, that's what we are, and that's what we'll be. God's holy word.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Asante sana.
Greetings, greetings. I am your host, Baba Malik, for today's service. In keeping with the best of our African traditions, I humble myself and request permission to speak from an elder.
Yes, feel free. Brother Malik, come on.
Thank you, thank you. Permission has been granted. Once again, Uncle Job Seneb, Wose family. I am your host for today's worship service, Baba Malik. Before we begin, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge, our ministerial staff. Our missionary leader, Minister Makalisi, I can see is in attendance. Minister Imhotep is here. Minister Alicia. I'm not sure if I see Minister Lindsay Williams in the house, as well as our ministers in training. Minister in training, Rana, Baba Bill. We trust and pray that Baba Sydney is here with us as well. And our prayers go out to Baba Sydney and Mama Connie, as well as the entire Brown family. Minister Marty Hines, and Minister Molly, and Minister Shango. I think I've covered everyone in the ministerial staff once again. For those who may be new to our service, all of our services are power-packed, they're inspirational, they're informative, and today is no exception. Bringing the message today, we are blessed and honored to have our very own in-house resident professor, Professor Manu Ampim, will be delivering today's message. I think that, I want to thank Baba Jeff for that opening song, We Are Children of the Sun. Such a beautiful and inspirational song. I think it's it kind of identifies what Wose is all about. And so having said that, at this time, I got notes everywhere, so I'm trying to make sure I don't miss anything. But also I want to introduce what has been introduced to me, is what we believe and what we practice for those who may be first-time attendees. And it's always good to reiterate and emphasize what we believe, what we practice, which is our mission statement. So I'm going to just read that to you. Wose Community Church is a community of the way. The way is Ma'at, truth, justice, and righteousness. We believe the teachings of our elders and our ancestors, that the Creator God created the universe and all life, and has placed in each of us a part of the divine spirit. God living in us and through us has given us the right and the power to establish peace and justice in all human life, in true harmony with all of creation. We believe in the living faith of our ancestors. Our way is not merely ritual or belief. Our way is the way of life. Our way is not a random path. Our way begins with coherent understanding. It is a way that aims at preserving knowledge of who we are. It is with this conviction that we study the rich heritage of our African people. The way knows no oppression, Our way creates. Our way worships and praises the God of our ancestors. The way is life. The way only destroys destruction. Thank you. At this time in the service, I'd like to call forth Mama Connie and my brother, MIT, Baba Sidney, and we offer prayers to their family as well, their daughter, and the Brown family as well. And welcome back home, family.
All right, thank you, thank you, thank you. Good morning, everybody. Grand Rising, Aunt Uja Seneb, and this is Baba Sidney, MIT, and my beautiful wife, Mama Connie. And just before we get into the affirmations, I think along with what my dear brother MIT, Malik was saying, that prayer is powerful. And I was thinking, it's like a glass of water on this path of life. And so it doesn't matter if it's a deep, gulp of water that you take, or small, just a sip of water. Every drop of water, every ounce of water is life-giving and life-sustaining. So if you have a deep prayer like Mama Kanke or Minister Makalisi or Minister Alicia, that's one thing, but those silent prayers, those little sips, they help us along the way. So all your prayers are felt, all your prayers are needed, and we're thankful for each and every one of you. Ashe. We're about to, I guess, MIT brother Bill, always on the job. Here's our affirmation. Go ahead, most beautiful one.
We will know God's truth to be free and self-determined.
Creator, help us to remember the humanity, glory, and suffering of our ancestors, and to honor the struggle of our elders.
Let us strive to bring new vision and life to our people. Let there be peace and harmony among us.
Ashe. Let us be loving, sharing, and creative. Let us work, study, and listen so that we may learn, teach, and cultivate self-reliance.
Grant us power, O Holy One, as we struggle to resurrect our hearts and our homeland.
Ashe. We will raise our children according to the needs of our nation with discipline, patience, devotion, and courage. We will strive to be the living models of a new direction of our people.
We are an African people.
We are the children of God.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Ashe. Blessings.
Ashe, Ashe. Thank you, Mama Connie and Baba Sidney, for our community affirmation. At this time, I think the community would be. I think at this time we need a song. That's what I'm trying to say. We need a song, and we're gonna have a song by Mama Gloria, presented by Baba Jeff.
Of course, we love to sing Jah praise. We love to sing Jah praise. Of my love, you should know it's time for the world to try Jah love. The only love that can be peace is Jah love. So won't you try? Of my love. broken hearts of sorrow. Come on and try your love. Try your love. Bring it down. Try your love. Try your love. Yes. Come on and try. Just try your love. Amen.
Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Thank you, Mama Gloria and Baba Jeff for presenting that. Try Jah Love. And before I call forth our historical tribute, I'd like to just acknowledge Mama Darnisha, who's been basically our Zoom ambassador, instrumental in getting Zoom for Wose as well as Ileoma Day. So Mama Darnisha, I'm not sure she's here. We salute you, we acknowledge you, and we honor you. Thank you so much. Now it is my pleasure and honor to introduce the youth who we constantly remind ourselves that they are our future. I'd like to call forth our sister, our queen in training, Sister Jalia is going to present the historical tribute.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What was it? I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Today I will be talking about the life of Celia De La Cruz, also known as the Salsa Queen. Celia De La Cruz was born in Havana, Cuba on October 21st, 1925. Her full name is Ursula Hilaria Celia de la Caridad Cruz Alfonso. She had 2 kids, as shown here, a boy and a girl, and she grew up in a big family. She had 13 brothers and sisters in one household. It's my bad. Okay. Okay. She was a teacher, but stopped later after she started doing performances, and she later enrolled in the Havana National Conservatory of Music. She excelled in track, movies, and music. She really liked singing as a child and became the lead singer in 1950s, became the lead singer of a Cuban group called Sonora Mantaquera. After the revolution, she left Cuba with her husband forever, and they became citizens to the United States. She sang with many American musicians, including Tito Puente, Johnny Pasquello, and Willie Colon. She made a style of music which now we know as salsa. She was also on the Hollywood Wall of Fame. One of her stories that she likes to tell was when she went to Miami. She went to a restaurant and a waiter asked her if she wanted sugar in her coffee. And so she looked at the waiter and was like, sugar, because she was from Cuba. And in Cuba, they love sugar and cream in their coffee. And she said, of course we want sugar. This is one of her songs. Can you guys hear it?
No.
Not yet.
Okay. And so when she's saying azúcar, that's sugar, and she's talking about the black girl. And that will conclude my historical tribute. Thank you.
Ashe, ashe, ashe.
Ashe.
We'll say, unmute
Ashe,
yourself and
Jalea.
give Sister Jalea a black hand. That was beautiful.
Ashe.
That was beautiful.
Ashe,
beautiful,
ashe,
beautiful.
ashe.
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 The
Ashe.
future is bright. The future is bright. And her pronunciation of all those difficult names was just spot on. Sister Jalea, you are a gift and we appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Sugar.
Thank you.
Sugar. Next, once again, we call forth Baba Jeff to present another song. Baba Jeff.
Indigo plan, 42 laws. My aunt March, let's get it. I will not do wrong, I will not steal, I will not act with violence, I will not kill, I will not act unjustly, I will not cause pain, I will not waste food, I will not speak in anger. Oh my, I will not sow any seeds of regretfulness. No, oh my, I will not lie, oh I will not lie, oh I will not desecrate holy places. I will not act guilefully, I will not lay waste the plowed land, I will not defraud temple offerings, I will not commit treason against my ancestors or utter curses or be an aggressor. Oh my, truth and justice, my oh my, harmony. Cosmic law, righteousness, integrity, order, reciprocity, discernment, balance, wisdom, respect. Oh my, truth and justice, my oh my, truth and justice, my oh my, truth and justice, my oh my, harmony. Cosmic law, righteousness, integrity, order, reciprocity, discernment, balance, wisdom, respect. Oh my, truth and justice, my oh my, truth and justice, my oh my, truth and justice, my oh my, harmony. I will not turn from words of right and truth. I will not pollute myself. I will not mistreat the youth. I will not pollute the earth. I will not commit fraud. I will not cause terror. I will not bear false witness. I will not set my mouth in motion against any person. See, I will not be wrathful or angry except for a just cause. I will not abuse my sexuality and I will not prejudge. I will not be an eavesdropper. I will not speak over much. I will not do evil, be arrogant, too excitable or contentious. Oh my, truth and justice, my oh my, harmony. Cosmic law, righteousness, integrity, order, reciprocity, discernment, balance, wisdom, respect. Oh my, truth and justice, my oh my, truth and justice, my oh my, truth and justice, my oh my, harmony. Cosmic law, righteousness, integrity, order, reciprocity, discernment, balance, wisdom, respect. Oh my, truth and justice, my oh my, truth and justice, my oh my, truth and justice, my oh my, harmony. I will not waste water or plunder the dead. I will not copulate with a woman's husband or a man's wife. I will speak no evil. I will not initiate no quarrel. I will not cause the shedding of tears. I will not blaspheme sacred nature, undifferentiated from the Almost High. With my aunt's wings, I will learn to fly. My aunt, madam, my aunt, magic. The etymology roots of all of my mathematics. Invoke the wisdom, my aunt, come on, I make it happen. Inhabit by a car, Nubian goddess, African. To the end of drilling, do it with integrity. Use these comedic codes to build accountability. Balance your passions and actions so maybe you can see all your truths. Know thyself, sovereigntize and get free. Cosmic law, righteousness, integrity, order, reciprocity, discernment, balance, wisdom, respect. Oh my, truth and justice, my oh my, truth and justice, my oh my, truth and justice, my oh my, harmony. Cosmic law, righteousness, integrity, order, reciprocity, discernment, balance, wisdom, respect. Oh my, truth and justice, my oh my, truth and justice, my oh my, truth and justice, my oh my, harmony. I have discipline, control of my thoughts and actions, and to purpose I have perfect devotion. Faith that my elder will teach me the truth, and faith that my conscience will integrate the truth too. Oh my, I'm free from resentment for persecution or wrong. Cultivating ability to completely perceive the complexity of illusion in all my reality. Don't want to be a search right, search right. Don't want to be a search right, search right. Und Hass geht raus, und Hass geht raus. I have the power. I have the power.
to make life choices.
Love it.
Shay,
Love it. Love it.
Thank you once again, Baba Jeff, for presenting us with that beautiful acknowledgement of Ma'at. You are truly appreciated.
Yes, Ashe.
Ashe. We'll say we're in for a special treat. We're going to have a poem next by Sister Makita. Sister Makita, come forth with your poem, sister.
Thank you for the invitation. I actually have two poems, and thank you, Baba Tai and Zakia and Brian, for allowing me to share a prayer through poem. I'm gonna give the first poem to the spirit of love, because this month is in the United States is Domestic Violence Month. This poem is for my sister and women, every color, everywhere, every culture, every creed. In the summer light, she was still beautiful. And if you looked close enough, you could see. It was the way her left eye drooped just a little, and that tiny scar just below the bottom lip. The way her top lip was just a little bit bigger on one side. The chip on her front tooth, he said, gave her character when she dared to smile. It was the way she flinched if you made a sudden move. The slight limp she had from the size 12 boot that day she burned his dinner. The way she lowered her eyes so you couldn't see her pain. It was the nights she said no, but he took her and took her and took her anyway. And the shame and brokenness she felt when he whispered, "I love you," afterwards. It was the soul sickness that made her body smell and her posture bend and hope turn a blind eye. It was the way she didn't matter. It was how he never really looked at her or wanted to hear what she thought or felt. It was that baby they wrapped in newspaper and disposed in a metal trash bin that served as a casket and a lifetime of dreams she had about love, dumped in a lonely, dark, nasty landfill in the summer light. She is dead, but beautiful. And if you look close enough, you could see the needle in her arm. It had become her friend, her savior, and now her deliverance. Her name was Caspra. Say her name. Thank you. This next offering is from my book to be released sometime in January. It doesn't really have a name, title to this poem yet. She took the long way home. She be free. She emerged from the unapologetic season, panting, a sacrifice set free. Dark body, black body, like new dirt in planting season. Locks dripping, mind transformed, spirit stretched wide out like a shadow on a sunny southern afternoon. She left herself a long, long time ago, or maybe it was just a moment. Now she is a womb, a world of stories in her being. Stories that push the brush on canvas and make words twist and shout. Stories that come from a place under the scabs and stitches and present like art. And they stories that are sown in blood, tears, and sometimes ecstasy. Stories that made the half notes sing and dance. Yeah, she's spitting words that give new birth. She is more than a daughter, a mother, a wife. She is a savior, a messiah, a peacemaker, a miracle worker, a healer, the light of the world, not a queen, but a goddess. The beat is deep and black and looks like pure shine. She is a womb. Her blackness walks before her like a bulletproof shield. In her bosom, she carries the secrets of life. She decided to tell somebody. Shh, listen. Thank you.
Ashe.
Ashe, Ashe. Thank you, Sister Makita, for blessing us, not with just one poem, but with 2 poems. And we thank you so much for sharing your gift with us. Next, I'd like to call forth for our litany of sacrifice, Mama Pam and Baba Ustadi.
Good morning, my Mose family. First, I apologize, my camera's not working, but I'm here to work and praise and worship with you. So we're going to start right up, but I also like to pay homage and say good morning, a special good morning to my Baba Kofi, Minister Makalisi, and Minister Lizelle. This is the litany of time for the litany of sacrifice. Save us, O Holy One, by your name. Vindicate us by your might. Hear my prayer, divine protector. Listen to the words of my mouth. How can we repay the Holy One for the gifts that have been given to us? We will lift up the cup of salvation and call upon the God of our ancestors. We will fulfill our vows to our Creator in the presence of all of our people. Gladly we bring our sacrifices to you. We will praise your name, O Amen Ra, for it is good. Umoja is unity. We will strive to maintain unity in the family, community, nation, and race.
Kujichagulia, self-determination. To define, name, create for ourselves.
Ujima's collective work and responsibility. We shall build and maintain our communities together. Our brothers and sisters. Problems shall be ours to solve together.
Ujamaa, cooperative economics. To build and maintain our own stores, shops, and other business, and to profit from them together.
Ashe Nia's purpose. We shall make our collective vocation the building and developing of our community and the restoration of our people to our traditional greatness.
Kuumba, creativity. To do always as much as we can in any way that we can to leave our community more beautiful and beneficial than when we inherited.
Imani is faith. We will believe with all of our hearts in our people, in our community, and in the righteousness and struggle and victory of our people and the victory of our struggle.
You can see on the face here that we have a litany of sacrifices. There's two places, Oakland and also Sacramento. I'm gonna pray right now. I'm thankful and grateful for this Sunday to wake and realize Amun Ra has given us another day to live. We give thanks for our family, friends, and all of us to be together one more time. I give special prayers out to Sister Tandiwe, granddaughter, Osarugu, that may God not only touch her, but touch any doctor's hands and minds that have the power to help her. We say prayers also for the poem that Sister Makita Asi gave, and give thanks and blessings for all the sisters that have struggled through bad relationships. Give thanks and blessings for this month that they offer for women violence. We say prayers for each and every one of them. And to all of those who have given money, and for those who are thinking about giving money, we really appreciate the love and blessings that God has bestowed upon you. If you have it, for those who don't have it, we give thanks and praises for you at this particular time. I say ashe, ashe,
Ashe. Ashe. Oh.
Ashe, ashe, ashe. Oh, thank you, Mama Pam and Babu Stadi, for presenting our litany of sacrifice, and thank you, Bala Stadi, for reminding us once again through your prayer about the things that are important, and to honor the victims of domestic violence. Now, before I bring on our distinguished speaker, Professor Manu Ampim, I'm going to read his bio. After I read his bio, I would like to request that Baba Kofi introduce his son, the professor, because a man should never stand between a father and his son. And so if Baba Kofi would agree to do that, I'm going to read the bio, and then I'm going to turn it over to Baba Kofi to introduce his son, Professor Manu Ampim.
Ashe.
Ashe. Professor Manu Ampim. I just want to say, I had the pleasure of meeting Professor Manu on several occasions, and the thing that I respect and admire and love most about him is that, you know, he's a forensic professor. You know, he just doesn't take it on face value. He is going to investigate. He's not interested in, you know, romanticizing future or advancing falsehoods. He is going to bring it to you like it is, the good, the bad, the indifferent. So I just wanted to say that. Professor Manu Ampim is a historian and primary firsthand researcher, specializing in African and African-American history and culture. He has a Master of Arts in History, African-American Studies from Morgan State University. His master's thesis, The Revolutionary Martin Luther King Jr., has been expanded into a 2-volume work entitled Martin Luther King, The Evolution of a Revolutionary. He has taught in the Department of History at Morgan State University and at San Francisco State University in the Department of Ethnic Studies. Also, Professor Ampim has studied at Oxford University in England and collaborated on a NASA-sponsored research project, which examined the ancient climate and migration patterns in Africa. Professor Ampim has taken educational tours to North Africa and Central America. In addition, from 1989 to 1991, he conducted an extensive pioneering 13-country research tour to all the major museums, institutes, and libraries throughout America, Europe, and Canada, which house ancient Kushite, Nubian, and Egyptian artifacts. In 2012, he co-founded the Save Nubia Project, a campaign of advancing the research which is focused on preserving the archaeological sites of ancient Kush and Nubia in the Sudan, which are threatened by the construction of large dams. Professor Ampim's most extensive set of articles is the 6-part essay on the vanishing evidence of classical African civilization. He has written a pioneering book on Black community development and the influence of the current Afrocentric movement. And he has also written several essays in Egypt, Child of Africa, edited by Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, and I could go on and on and on. It is a pleasure and an honor. And at this time, I would like to extend that courtesy and respect to his father, Baba Kofi, who's in attendance, to introduce his son and any other words he might like to share with us. Baba Kofi.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to introduce my son, who I'm so very proud of. You know, his name itself, Manu, second son, and the last name is Ampim, solid like a rock. Okay, and one of the things that I'm so proud of is that as I studied in Wose and learned that we recognize that each generation must get stronger. And when I say strong, I mean strong in knowledge and wisdom. And my son Manu have did all of those things. He succeeded my expectations. You know, he's way up there. If I had to give him a grade, I would have to invent a grade to give him because that's just how far he have gone, you know. And, you know, and as I said earlier, you know, when he came to me a long time ago and said to me, now I know what I want to do. He said, I want to be a leader in the African-American community. And that's when I sit down with him and told him, I said, well, in order to be that exceptional leader, there are certain things that I call the 11th commandment. And I can explain that to y'all some other time. But I told him about the 11th commandment and he understood that and gave us my advice and he was off and running. And that's my son. And I'm very proud of him. And like I said, he's the new generation, okay? And each generation must get stronger. Ashe, ashe, ashe.
Ashe, ashe.
Ashe, ashe,
Ashe.
Thank you, Baba
Ashe,
Kofi.
Ashe.
Ashe.
And now let's bring forth our Professor Manu Ampim.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wose, good to see everybody. I didn't expect that kind of introduction, so my introduction, I'm throwing it out of the off to the next room now. So I was going to certainly dedicate this presentation to my father, Baba Kofi, who introduced me to the life-saving teachings back in 1984, and I've never been the same since. And also to my mother, Sister Rosie Jones, who's been struggling with some major health issues. She's been battling for a while, particularly this year. So I dedicate this presentation to both of them and always glad to be back at Wose. Look, the introduction was not for you all, it's really for the larger public. Since I'm, Wose is me and I'm Wose. So, but I was thinking about what to really share that would be relevant at this time. And it came to me very clearly what would be meaningful to the Wose community. So I want to, as usual, share some slides and put you on the inside of what I believe that the Wose community should know. And I want to introduce you to somebody who is intimately a part of the Wose tradition that has to be understood in a more central role. So I'm going to share my slides. And I want to start first, before I even give the specific title, is to just share with you just the continent of Africa, because when I travel and do primary or firsthand research in the Northeast African area, particularly in Sudan and Ethiopia, in search of the origins of ancient Kush, which I've been on the path on for quite some time, is that you can't mention Ethiopia or Sudan today without people discussing the current problems and the political issues and the war and fighting that's going on. And so when I talk to my colleagues from either country, that's the first thing that concerns them, and that is the political turmoil, which is a relevant topic. So how do we bring together these disjointed factions to help mend the deep-seated problems in the region? And so one of the things that we can look to as an example in antiquity, if we go to the northern area of Kemet, and is one of the greatest men in the history of Kemet. You talk about, and there's a beautiful songs today for sure, but you talk about an unsung hero. Well, we got a hero that is providing one of the greatest examples of restoring the ancestral legacy that has not been on the radar. So I've been really looking at his experience and story and contributions now for about a decade, a little bit more than a decade. So I want to share with you the experience and the contributions of one of the greatest men in the history of classical Africa, the first chematologist, as I would call him, and that is none other than the priest Ka-Im Waset, and the preservation of Kemet's legacy. Khaim Waset is one of the most important men that we have seen on the historical record. So I want to go through his story so that everybody was very clear of why he's such a significant chematologist. And by the way, a chematologist is fundamentally different than the mainstream Egyptologist. We agree on absolutely nothing. We have nothing in common whatsoever. So allow me to introduce you to and give you insight about Khaim Waset this morning. Now, the name Khaim Waset, one who shines in Waset. And so he was a prince in around the 19th dynasty, about 1250 or so BCE. He was the fourth son of Ramses, the second son of Aset Nafret. And now many of you already know that Waset was the name of the capital city. And because Chancellor Williams's book, The Destruction of Black Civilization, is one of the canon books when Wose was founded 40 years ago, Chancellor Williams, the spelling of Waset for him, it's Wose, because at some point in the language, the last letter was dropped. And it doesn't seem as though they vocalized that last T. So from Waset, it could be Wase, but Chancellor Williams has rendered it as Wose. And so that's why we use Wose, but it's that phenomenal capital city that emerged during the Great Temple Age. And so that's what his name is associated with, that great location where during that time period, you have some of the greatest builders in the history of the world. So let me share with you some of the titles of Khaim Waset. He was a sim priest at Mennefer. Mennefer, he was a sim priest of Ptah. All of the craftsmen, all of the builders that were under the authority of the god Ptah. And his name actually means to create, Ptah. And Mennefer is the first capital city. And they continue to use Mennefer throughout the dynastic period. I love the name Mennefer because it means established in beauty. And the Memphis rendering of it, that's the Grecian form, because the Greeks couldn't read or write any of the African words or places or names or terms. So whenever you see an IS or OS or US, that almost always means that it's taken on his foreign or Grecian form. But nevertheless, he's a sim priest. He was a sim priest of Ptah at Mennefer, in charge of all of the funerary rituals. And many times when you see rituals and ceremonies being conducted, you'll see a priest in a leopard skin outfit. That's a sim priest, somebody who's over those funerary ceremonies. He also was a high priest of Ptah, in charge of all of the temples and the cemetery grounds. Khaim Waset was the great overseer of craftsmen, of builders, which makes sense because this is the realm of Ptah. So there's dozens of monuments and construction projects all throughout Egypt, and you see the influence of Khaim Waset, who oversaw all of these great projects of his father. And by the way, his father, Ramses II, is the single greatest builder in the history of Africa. In fact, I would say that Ramses II is the single greatest builder in the history of the world. There's nobody that built more extensively than Ramses. And despite the fact that outsiders will say that, well, yeah, but Ramses was a megalomaniac. He was ego tripping. No, you're just intimidated by African manhood. That's all it is. So I don't allow the guides to mislead people who join me and talk about he's ego tripping. No, he's building in a tradition of great builders. How could he contribute to a great tradition of building without himself being a great builder? And so even if you take away those monuments that Ramses added his name to from previous rulers, where he was restoring monuments, he added his name as the restorer. They claimed, oh, he's stealing other people's stuff. Even if you take all of those monuments away, or he's added his name later, Ramses II, and you look at the monuments that he built from the ground up, he still is the single extensive greatest builder of them all. You talk about a symbol of great building, that's Ramses II, and his son was over all of that. So he was over the two lands as well. His son, he was a crown prince to the throne. That's why Khaim Waset had such a prominent place, because he's the right hand and left hand person of his father. And he was a governor of the Mennefer region where the capital city was. But even beyond that, and what I also want to focus on in the few minutes that I have today, he's the first chematologist and first conservationist. Long before anybody started thinking about archaeology or anything or conservation, You have Ka-Im Waset, who restored monuments as a chematologist. Keep in mind that 19th dynasty was long removed from the earlier pyramid age. Think about the time period, 1250 or so BCE. That's almost 1,500 years after the Great Pyramid Age started. That's a long time. So for him, he was restoring monuments of the ancestors and making sure their monuments were safe. And he was so powerful that later on, the foreigners, when they came in, the Greeks and Romans, they made him into a magician. They elevated Ka-Im Waset to high status. So these are some of his titles. This is an image of Ka-Im Waset. If any of you visited the British Museum, you might have noticed this statue in the downstairs gallery, but this is the great chematologist here, Ka-Im Waset. And okay, Sister Ngita, I think you you got some markings on the screen, so you have to kind of watch your cursor there. So here again is Ka-Im Waset, the first chematologist. And notice that he has a side lock of hair. You'll see the side lock of hair. This represents the fact that he is a youth. That's one of the fundamental symbols of youngness. Not necessarily the size of the monument, but symbols such as the side lock. This is the Heru lock. You might see it written as the Horus lock. No, it's Heru. And so these are images of him. This is part of his family as well. Here's how we know his rank in the family. Here's his father, his mother, and then this Ka-Im Waset. He's the Sim priest of Ptah. And you see that here, this is his title. He's the Sim priest, and his name, Ka-Im Waset, one who shines in Waset. And you see the side lock of hair. This is the leopard skin outfit here. Here he is with his younger brother. He's to the left. Here's his name, Ka-Im Waset. You see it there, and there's his younger brother behind him. And Ramses was he was not only the most prolific builder, but he was very productive in general. We're told that Ramses, his father, had over 100 children. So Ramses was very productive. So there's a whole line of family members, and Ka-Im Waset was at the head. Here it is again, the sons of Ramses, and you have Ka-Im Waset. You see him second from the right. There's a line of, and you can see that they're not kings, they're princes, they're sons. You see the side lock, that's indicating their youngness or their youth. They're below the highest rank. So he had a very high status in the family. And also here's some of his other titles and functions as well. Here's him as a Sim priest of Ptah, which is a very high position. You see he's got the side lock of hair, but he's performing a ritual, ceremony. And again, his name, you see it here, Ka-Im Waset. This is the symbol of Waset here, Owose. You see that? The symbol of authority with the staff. This is only worn or held by those of the highest rank, usually deities, but this is the symbol of Waset or Owose. That's part of his name. And here he is again, other images of Ka-Im Waset. And take a look at this here. You see, this is the shrine of Ptah at Min-Nefer. And this is from Gebel Susila. It's one of the locations right on the Nile. And you have Ka-Im Waset. So you notice his father, his mother, also notice the princess, but he is in the front here. He's smaller because he's not as prominent in this image as the other figures. So that's why he's shown smaller, but he is the son of the king. Son of the king, Sim priest, Ka-Im Waset. Here he is. So you see him in many monuments up and down the country, indicating his status, his stature, his influence. Here he is. He is the Sim priest. This is another location. And you see him with the side lock, but he's in fact in front of, and you see the image here. This is his father, Usama Atra. This is Ramses II, and this is his son, Ka-Im Waset. You see him again here. So you see him in many different instances, and he is of the very high rank. So when you're looking at Medu Neter, just by the way, as a footnote, you read the symbols in the from the direction that they're facing. So always from top to bottom, and you can see that the symbols are facing to the right here. So you're going to read from right to left, and always from top to bottom. Some symbols do not have a direction, like this basket here or the eye, but others do. So you look for birds, as you see here, and sometimes you'll see people, and that's how you know what direction to read from. Here's the Hebsed festival during the 30th year of his father's reign. And again, you got Kain Waset, and his father's name is in the Shinu, or the ring of eternity, the so-called cartouche. And this is a symbol of the Hebsed festival. This is the Jubilee festival to regenerate his Ka, or his spiritual double. So Egyptologists, they don't really know a lot, but they were thinking that there was a set number of years before there was a great Hebsed festival to rejuvenate the king's Ka, because his Ka represents the Ka, or the spiritual double for the entire nation. No, it's not a set date. It depends on when his Ka begins to dwindle. And when it begins to dwindle and his Ka is not strong, then they would have the Hebsed festival, which is an elaborate festival that is done to rejuvenate his Ka. So you have Kain Waset over that. Kain Waset is somebody that restored monuments. He was a part of these building projects. This is the Serapeum, where there's a couple dozen bulls that were buried in the Serapeum in Saqqara. Some of you may have visited this location in Saqqara, or you might have read about it, but they would bury, and they did bury dozens of bulls at this location. So, and bulls are very important. They were absolutely important, because think about a bull in terms of symbolism of leadership. I mean, what could be stronger than a bull? This is why the bull, among other symbols, represent the king. So the Apis bulls, they were buried. You'll see these images, because this represents strong leadership. And so you find that. So for example, you see this at the Karnak temple. This is Ramses II. This is the Hebsed festival, the festival of the tail. You see the bull here? This is a ritual ceremony. And this is the festival of the tail. Why? Because notice here, you know, this is the tail of the bull. So the king has to perform a significant ritual, and the bull is associated with it. So Kain Waset was over the 30-year Hebsed festival of his father to rejuvenate his Ka. And by the way, the great builder Ramses II, his father ruled for more than 60 years, somewhere around 67-year rule. And Kain Waset was the one who oversaw these rituals and ceremonies. And here you have the deity here who the king dances in front of. This is a part of the Hebsed ritual and ceremony. Ptah was very significant over all of the craftsmen, all of the builders. So every craftsman, every builder was under the tutelage of Ptah. And this is who Kain Waset was the priest to, the sim priest to. Now, if you take a look at the map here, you see Saqqara in this area here. And so obviously, as many of you know, as you go to the north, you're going down north. So if you look down north in Saqqara area, then here's a statue at Min-Nefer. This statue at this archaeological site is at the very spot where it was found. And so you see the tremendous craftsmanship. Notice the anatomical precision with this monument. Notice all of the details. The knee joint is perfect, the anatomical details. And you notice, though, as perfect as this is, on the right side, you see that there's some erosion. That's because this is the side that eroded when it was at this same place. In other words, this statue, this massive 35-foot statue was found in situ, in the situation in which you see it today. And this is one of the groups that I've taken. Also, Kain Waset was over other building projects such as the Ramesseum. This is these are massive statues. Remember, Ramses, his father, was the greatest of all the builders. And so take a look at this fallen statue here. This probably fell because of an earthquake. Here I'm standing in front of part of it. I mean, can you imagine that kind of building? And this is just part of this massive statue. They were building for how long? For eternity. That's why they built on such a grand scale. Even at the Karnak location, you have the influence of Waset, who's over all of the different building projects of his father. So you see this massive temple grounds, and this is the sacred lake here. You see on the top right. Here's another angle of that. So much of this, or part of it, just part of the temple contributed to by Ramses. Here in the same local area, the so-called Luxor temple, and you have these massive statues here. You see them, Ramses, and then you have a series of other statues. Amenhotep III in the back. So we would be standing right around this area here. And this is a close-up of the Tekken, or so-called obelisk. You might ask, well, where's the other one? Well, stolen and taken to Paris. So Place de la Concorde in Paris is where the other one was stolen and taken to. So when you go to the Louvre Museum in Paris and you see that the monument, it was stolen. And it was documented too. You can see exactly how it was stolen, how it was stolen, put on a barge and taken eventually to Paris. And then you also know that these massive temples at Abu Simbel also built for Ramses and his wife Nefertari. And Waset was over these building projects. Here's Ramses Temple. These are massive 65-foot high statues. You don't see anybody here coming out of the temple doorway. Well, now you do. For context, can you imagine building on that scale? Look at the family members. You see these other statues. These are not small. These are simply smaller statues compared to Ramses. So this is when the average tourists and tour guides here, they're absolutely intimidated. This is when they come out with this, so he must have been a megalomaniac. Nope, you're looking at African men building for eternity. So I need you to back down and back off with misinformation to the public, because you're just intimidated when Black men, particularly of antiquity, are that strong and are building on that kind of scale. So no, he ain't a megalomaniac. He's building at a level that you can't even conceive of. So I need you to be quiet and don't mention that to people anymore until you know what you're talking about. But this is the telltale sign of Ramses' greatness right here. So I mentioned chematologists or chematology. It's a systematic study of classical Kemet before foreign occupation. Egyptologists is reverse. They look at when foreigners came, and they only look at it from a Greek point of view. So they'll never call it Kemet. So they're not chematologists, they're Egyptologists who distort all of the words, all the translations and everything else. I'm a chematologist as well as some of the others. We have to give, Chancellor Williams and others as credit for helping to pave the way. So a chematologist has to have some kind of formal training, doesn't have to be in their academy, but at least somebody who knows from a firsthand point of view or firsthand perspective, the understanding of classical Kemet. And again, it's before foreign occupation. Obviously, primary research must be done. And clearly, we have to use the original records when translating texts, interpreting rituals, examining cultural practices. And that's why a person who's a chematologist is on the inside, whereas the Egyptologists are on the outside trying to give an inside interpretation, but they're not capable of doing so. This is why the translations make no sense. The term will say Kemet, and they'll translate it as Egypt. How do you do that? The text doesn't say that, but that's typically what happens. So anyway, chematologists and chematology is the focus. Now, what about Waset and the restoration of monuments? His legacy is absolutely significant. Not only does he build monuments, but he restored many monuments, such as the Pyramid of Unas. This goes back to the Pyramid Age around the 5th dynasty. What's special about the Pyramid of Unas is the fact it's the first of the pyramids that had writing inside, the first pyramid text. It is beautiful pyramid text inside of the Unas pyramid. And so restored by Waset. This is the causeway leading into the Valley Temple area. Now, many people are not aware, you can, and when we go, and Baba Sydney, Sister Connie, I know you're with me. You've already registered. So I'm going to check, brother and sister, when we get, well, actually, before we get to Kemet next summer, I'll check and see if the Unas Pyramid is open. If so, we're going to go. And it's special inside. Now, what I have always done, because, they rotate when monuments are open, when they close, to kind of give them a break from just constant tourism, but tourism has been down in the area. So there's a place on the temple, the pyramid, where Waset actually says that he restored the monument of his ancestor Unis, who had built this more than 1,000 years before Ka'im Waset in the 19th dynasty. This is actually part of the text. This is a restoration text of Ka'im Waset. This is what he actually says. His Majesty, meaning his father, Ramses II, ordered it to be proclaimed that the chief of the master of the craftsmen, the Sim priest, Ka'im Waset, has inscribed the name of the king of Upper and Lower Kemet, Unis, since it was not found upon the face of the pyramid, because the Sim priest Ka'im Waset loved to restore the monuments of the king of Upper and Lower Kemet. How about that as a tribute to his ancestors? Remember, he's 19th dynasty. He's giving tribute to the builder, the great pyramid builder in the 5th dynasty. This is a special text, but this is part of the restoration work of none other than the great chematologist Ka'im Waset. Also, he restores monuments in a place called Abu Gharaib. Most people don't go here. They've never been here because, they're not spectacular monuments, but historically, Abu Gharaib is a very significant place. So is Abu Sir for that matter. But sorry, at Abu Gharaib, there's the Nicaret Sun Temple, and he restored this. This is the image of the king, and this is part of the restoration work of Ka'im Waset. He restored part of the temple in that area, and he states as such. So we know about the work of Ka'im Waset, his restoration work, his conservation work. And near here, you have Abu Gharaib, and there's nearby Abu Sir pyramids as well. And these are all between, by the way, between Giza and Saqqara, if you know a little bit about the area. And 99% of the people drive by these areas when they're going from one big area to the next. But if you walk in the desert or I walk, I don't do the camel and all of that. That's for tourists. You got to walk and you'll see some of the most significant monuments. You'll see the Hotep symbol, for example, and you see many other signs and symbols along the way that are not spectacular monuments, but they're historically significant. And then we find the writing of Ka'im Waset as he restored part of the temples and pyramids. He also, so at Abu Sir, you see here, this is Sahure. In this pyramid, he also, Ka'im Waset, helped to restore this pyramid as well. And again, this is during the pyramid age. Look at the perfect glyphs. You see the Medu Neter, the perfect balance and harmony and proportion. So if somebody did not know when the monument was built and they weren't familiar with the name Sahure, it's from a special time when Africans were in control of their own country because of the perfect glyphs. And then, but Ka'im Waset is one who restored part of the pyramid. And Usrkaf, he also restored this pyramid here. This is near the step pyramid in Saqqara. And there's Usrkaf, there's a big image and statue of him in the Cairo Museum. But anyway, the pyramid restored by Ka'im Waset. And this is another angle of the Usrkaf pyramid. This is the 5th dynasty during the pyramid age. Also, he restores part of the step pyramid itself. Today, there have been a lot of excavation work, or actually I would say restoration engineering work to stabilize the pyramid. But this is long after Ka'im Waset did his own restoration work at this important site. And by the way, what you're seeing here is part of the Heb-Sed area. This is where the king would perform the sacred rituals, the ceremony. This is part of the this huge area where one of the most important ceremonies would take place. That's what I was sharing with you earlier, where it's the festival of the tail, the Jubilee festival, to restore the king's Ka. And it takes place right in this area here. And so here's Zoser. He's the builder of the step pyramid. And there's tile inside, beautiful glyphs. But also take a look at this. Here's the tomb of Sepshakov. And Sepshakov, and this is an area called Southern Saqqara. Most people don't go to this area here, but you see the step pyramid in the background, and there's a number of pyramids between where I'm standing and the step pyramid miles away. And if it's not too much haze, you can see a lot of pyramids. in the South Saqqara areas. When people talk about Saqqara, they're really talking about the northern area, but there's a long line of pyramids in the southern area. This is why when you go to certain places, you can see a line of pyramids looming in majesty in the desert. Now, if you take a look at the map here on the left, now here's for reference, here's the step pyramid. You see my cursor, the Zoser pyramid. I showed you the Unis pyramid. Okay, so that's what you see here. Now, if you take a look at the map, can anybody make out where the Shepsukov tomb or monument would be in the actual photograph based on this drawing on the left?
To the right?
Okay, where, Brother Malik?
Is it to the right?
Where?
Is it to the right of the step pyramid?
Okay, you mean here or somewhere over here?
There.
Okay, yeah, all right, okay, very good. That's it right here. Yes, that's it. So that's Shepsukov's structure here. There's a lot of monuments there. It's really special to go and look around and so forth. Here in the South Saqqara area, this is a Shepsukov structure here, restored by Qaim Waset. And he also did restoration work further north in Giza as well, the great priest. And so he did restoration work right there at this Great Pyramid area. So his work is pretty significant, even at the Great Pyramid site, because he's restoring the works and monuments of the ancestors. He is the first conservationist. He's the first chematologist that there is. He's the first restorationist, and nobody was doing this work before Qaim Waset at 1250 BCE. So he's an archaeologist. He's a curator of artifacts. So if you take a look even more closely at the Eastern Cemetery at Giza, this area here, this is the east, and you see the pyramid of Khufu, and this is Khafre, the middle pyramid. You don't see Menkaure, and this is Heru and Makhet down kind of in the middle area. So now if you take a look at this map, here is Khufu's pyramid, and this is the Eastern Cemetery that I was just showing you. In the Eastern Cemetery is where Qaim Waset does his conservation work as well. He's not only restoring big monuments, but he's restoring also smaller statues as well. And he is restoring the statue of Kawab, who is the son of Khufu, the builder of the first of the Great Pyramids. And so I'll show you another image here, but this clearly is restored by the son of the king, Qaim Waset. His name is here, and he's indicating his restoration work of this particular statue. And he's got all of the details here. This is Khufu and his son, Kawab. And the statue is being restored. So you see here, son of the king, and his name, Kawab. So this is you look at the Ka, and this here, this has to do with purification. So the name is the purification of his Ka. I mean, what a name. What a name. And this is restored by who? The son of the king, the Sim priest. You see it here, son of the king, Qaim Waset. He's the one restoring the monument that's now in the Cairo Museum. And here is the actual, this is Kawab, and this is Qaim Waset. You see it, so this is part of that monument here. This is different panels of the text. And this is what he actually says. It was the high priest and the Prince Qaim Waset who delighted in this statue of the king's son Kawab, which he discovered in the field of a shaft in the area of the well of his father Khufu. He acted so as to place it in favor of the Neteru, or the gods, among the glorious spirits of the chapel of the cemetery, because he loved the noble ones who dwelt in antiquity before him and the excellence of everything they made in truth 1,000,000 times. This is Qaim Waset concerning the statue that he restored of Kawab, who's the son of his father Khufu. This is very powerful text. So we know that his restoration work, it is literally set in stone and documented in stone. So this is the significance of Ka'im Waset. It has many titles: a high priest, sim priest, a great overseer of buildings. He's the executive of the head of the two lands. He's the crown prince to the throne and held that title for decades. And he was a governor of the entire area. He is the first chematologist, the first conservationist. He's the one who restored the monuments. He is the first and the father of what now people will call archaeologists. Long before that, we have Ka'im Waset. And again, as I mentioned, he later became a musician to foreigners. But let me show you something else about Ka'im Waset as I close, and his significance as the first chematologist. And so he restored monuments, large monuments, smaller statues. But take a look at an image that I showed you. Actually, before I show you that image, here's what happens. When statues are stolen, such as Ramses the Great statues stolen from the Ramesseum, it's documented. And so here you have local Arabs that are literally under the authority of Belzoni, the Italian 6'6" circus guy, now who turns into an archaeologist, or actually a thief, to steal these statues such as this. And here you have like a plank here and logs operating as wheels so they can steal it from the location. And this is how these kind of great monuments of Ka'im Waset's father have shown up, as well as other statues have shown up in foreign museums. That statue you just saw, it's in the British Museum in the so-called Egyptian Gallery. And so, but I want to share something with you. Take a look at this image. What do you know? Well, there's two images. What do you notice here as the presentation of Ka'im Waset? I showed you the one on the left earlier. What do you notice about the image on the right?
The single hair braid to one side suggests that he's still quite young.
Okay, Brother Bill, that's correct. So now, let me prep it a little bit more. All right, so this is really the same image, but it's undergone a change. So what change do you see?
The nose.
European.
The nose.
European picture.
Absolutely, Sister Fania and others, you're absolutely on target. Here, Ka'im Waset restored statues and monuments to the best of his ability to respect the ancestors, but that's not what modern archaeologists and conservationists do. They add in the Eurocentric, European-oriented features that have nothing to do with the original. So this is the original, where obviously somebody took some object to deliberately destroy the statue. Never believed that the part of his face just fell off, not at all. So when you have this kind of damage, most of it is absolutely modern. Doesn't matter what people say who haven't done the field research, they don't understand. They think it's not ancient. I can show you, and this is what I love to do in the field, is show people the fundamental distinctive difference between ancient damage and modern deliberate damage. They're absolutely very detectable, but it takes the eye of a primary researcher to distinguish the old from the new damage. And so this is absolutely new, I can tell you that. But look, you're right. You see how part of the eyes, eyebrow, nose, this has been added in. These are not correct features, but it's very subtle. So this is what would be promoted in Archaeology Magazine or on Science Channel or National Geographic Channel or the History Channel or some of these Mickey Mouse journals masquerading as professional publications. They won't show original images, even when those original images are not damaged. They rather show a modern makeup, a modern fanciful recreation. So you got to be careful, because if people are not restoring monuments in the tradition of Ka'im Waset, they're restoring images in a way that can subtly but very clearly change the racial identity. So this one has been given a nose lift. See the angle here? He's been given a nose lift. And so this is for those, not for Wose, but for the other folks who don't know. They think that ancient damage, and they don't know. One who learns teaches. So we have to teach people to be careful when you have these modern reconstructions. We cannot allow people to simply misrepresent the actual appearance of Ka'im Waset as hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of images and reliefs have all undergone. And some also has been completely invented and is complete forgeries as well. So I wanted to show you this so that you would know that this is what takes place. So we respect Kai Wansett. He's the first chematologist. He's led the way. He's the one that restored that what has been in ruins. So we respect his traditional approach to respecting the ancestors and restoring their great works. And that's one of the greatest things that we can do in the early 21st century, as people honor our work as we should honor the work of none other than Kai Wansett, the one who shines in Wansett. So I will be taking the group again next June to Kemet to learn on site for 2 weeks, and you certainly can still join us for next June of 2022. All right, so you all are now officially inducted into the knowledge of Ka M. Wansett. So thank you, we'll say, and Hotep.
We'll say, do me the honor, do Professor Ampim the honor, unmute yourself, and give him a black hand. Beautiful, beautiful.
Wonderful, wonderful.
I want to thank Baba Kofi for, giving the proper introduction to his son. I can only read words off his bio, but a father gives his son life. And I thank Baba Kofi for that. Now, well, so you just witnessed.
Excuse me 1 second.
Go ahead.
In keeping with our teaching, it will say there's always male and female. And I will always have to give homage to his mother for allowing me to be the father of our son. I have to put that in there because that's what we're taught. There's always the male image and the female image, and they go together. We created a wonderful son.
I say, Baba.
Absolutely.
I say, Baba.
And let me extend that apology. You're absolutely right. I see you, and I should always acknowledge that there's a queen alongside of a king who gave birth to this king right here. So thank you, Bobby Kofi, for that as well. We acknowledge the Queen Mother. And I will say many of us, we've watched the History Channel on TV. You just witnessed the Wosei History Channel. Professor Ampim, he speaks with such clarity and such truth and such authority that your spirit knows when you are being fed the truth, like it knows when you are being fed falsehoods. You know, and we know that we have been fed the truth today. And I just wanted to say that, but also, we have to do more than just give lip service to our scholars and support them in the great works that they do. Now, you all know that Professor Ampim is also, he's an author as well as a scholar. And so, we have he's too humble to mention it, but let's buy his books as well. I know many of you are going on this tour, but let's buy his book. That's how we invest in our scholars and our teachers, to show that we not only love them, but we support them as well, so they can continue doing the work that Professor Manu Ampim is doing. So I just want to thank you again, Professor, for blessing and gracing our service with your presence and that excellent presentation. I don't know about you, but you guys, but I learned a whole lot of things that I did not know about Ka M. Wansett. I hope I pronounced that name correct.
Yes.
That's
Thank
absolutely
you.
beautiful.
Thank you, brother.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to our distinguished minister, Minister Alicia, for the invitation.
Greetings, everyone. That was a beautiful presentation. Thank you ever so much, Professor Manu. The restoration of ancestral work, because he loved the noble ones that dwelt in antiquity. Yes, thank you. And if anyone can understand, as we go through these things, as we listen and learn more, if you would love to learn more, if you would love to read, come back. You see, this community is here. We are 40 years strong, and we have just been here from ever since. And now we have been able to expand through Zoom during this time. during the time when people are plunged into darkness, we are always here bringing the light. So if any one of you who is not a member of WOSE has felt within your heart, you know, that strike of, oh my goodness, I didn't even hear this before. I want to know more. What's going on? Please, we welcome you to keep coming back and keep coming back. But at this time, it's time for, if you have it within your heart and your minds, that I want to join this community. I want to be a part of this community. I want to do some work in this community. Please come join us. This is the time. This right here is the time for you to raise your hand, speak up, say, sister, I'm ready. I'm here and I'm ready. You know, you could put it in the chat and we will acknowledge you and we will bring you into the fold, because we are a group of people who are moving forward, who are getting our Black knowledge on. We are learning and growing and figuring out community and pressing forward within ourselves and growing higher in our vibrations. So if that's something that resonates with you, if Professor Manu said something that resonated with you as you were listening to the music today and hearing the poetry and hearing all the things that were the historical tribute, everything that was happening today, if you're on that vibration, raise your hand if you're not a member of WOSE, and say, yes, I want to be a member of WOSE. What does it take? What do I need to do? This is the time at this moment. So if any, I see a hand, Sister Umi J. Yes, yes. And at this moment, is there any others? Any others? Sister Umi J, would you like to say anything?
Yes, I'm a guest of Judy Gresham, and I thoroughly enjoyed the presentation by Baba Manu, and opened my eyes to a lot of truth about Kemet. All my life, I've just learned about Egypt and Egyptology, and been indoctrinated by different Western religions. So this is eye-opening for me. Always learning something new. I'm grateful to get this in my older years. I'm happy to meet all of you. Thank you, Judy.
Okay, thank you ever so much.
Greetings. Can I jump in for a second, Sister Minister? Sister Umi J, welcome to WOSE. I am the clerk of WOSE. I need to get some information from you so I can give you some follow-up, so we can have some follow-up discussion. So can you give me your address, your email address or your telephone number so I can follow up with you this week? And if you want,
sure. I'll write it in the chat as well, but it's JUDI461@gmail.com. JUDI461@gmail.com. And I'll write it in the chat as well.
Thank you very much, my sister.
Thank you. Please.
Ashe, anyone else? But we are very excited at this time.
Judy has her hand raised. Judy Gresham.
Judy? Oh,
She
Judy,
has her hand raised.
Would you like to say something, Judy?
Greetings. I'm trying to, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, yes, I was raising my hands. I had talked with Wana. Is it Wana?
Rana, Minister in Training, Rana. You're right.
Yes, and she sent me the information, but I did invite Umi J, and she's joining before I can join. So I figured I plan to join, but my rationale for that is JUDI comes before JUDY. So I'll in alphabetical order I will join. Yes, I'm interested in joining.
Okay. We'll continue our follow-up with you as well.
And I think Rana already has my information.
Yes, she has. Yes.
Thank you.
And you actually are an associate member as we speak, and Rana wants to introduce you on a future Sunday as an associate member.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Ashe.
All right. Thank you.
Greetings, and I just want to extend that same greetings and welcome to you, Umi J. just like the pyramids were built one stone at a time, Wose is building this movement, this community, one member at a time. So welcome to you as Judy as well. I know it goes without saying, what a beautiful and powerful and uplifting service that we've had today. And just glad I was able to be a small part of it at this time, unless there's any other members who want to join, any other comments before we move on to our closing song.
I would like to say one quick comment. Both of us are Judiths, Judith. Both of our names are Judith, and I know that Judith, the book of Judith, is one of the books in the, I think, the Apocrypha, but I don't know if Judith, if there's any lineage or, something we'll learn later about who that Judith could have been in Kemet. So with that, I'm finished.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Sister Judy. At this time, we're going to close out with our Lift Every Voice and Sing, presented by Baba Jeff and Hanif's granddaughter. That was absolutely beautiful. And it just goes without saying, Lift Every Voice and Sing is beautiful and powerful and inspirational, whether it is sung vocally or played through beautiful instruments. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to our Minister Imhotep, for the wrap up.
Actually,
I'm sorry, Minister Alicia for the close.
Ashe. So we would like to first give thanks for our ancestors who have come today, who we have called upon their names and their spirits and their inspirational stories to be able to help be with us today and sit with us and enjoy and celebrate with us and learn with us. And we would like to thank them for being here with us. And just ever so much thanks and honor that we give to them. And now unto the ones who is able to lift us faultlessly before the throne on high. May they empower us to be a people with one aim,
One aim,
one destiny,
one destiny,
one love,
one love,
one heart,
one heart,
and one God.
one God.
And as those ancestors who have given us that love, may we forever remember them, and we forever be together in love and peace for time immemorial. Let us all say, Amen.
Ashe.
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 Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Ashe. You are the most beautiful people on the face of this earth. Ashe.
Yes, we are.